Hello, Degens! Welcome to Degenerate Takes, MLB three-quarter season, future bets, projections, whatever we're going to call this one. I'm sure I'll think of a better title when I put it out on YouTube. But I'm the Brofict one, AJ, and joining me as always is the man with the numbers, the sportsbook whisperer, college basketball guru, daddy of the diamond, all hail the king of the links, Mr. Noah Engelbretson, the money train. Noah, how the hell you doing today, bub?
AJ, I'm fantastic. We got playoffs, golf playoffs. I'm talking golf
Golf
playoffs. It's
playoffs.
great.
We're talking
Yeah, it's
playoffs in
great.
golf, absolutely. But Noah, you know what we're about to talk about? MLB playoffs, bro, because really it's around the corner before you know. We're about halfway here through August, and September call-ups are right around the corner, and then we start getting into October. And I mean, this is really where everything starts to count. Yes, they play all 162 games and every game counts, but all these teams now sitting at about 109, 110, 113 games being played. No better time than the present to put in some future bets for the rest of the season, right, bub?
Yes, sir. Can't
Absolutely.
argue with that logic.
No, right? I mean, that just makes total sense. So, Noah, let's stop wasting some time. Let's get right into it because there's there's a couple teams that have what seems to be the division and the conference kind of locked up, but there's also a lot of movement in some other places that we're going to look at. Let's go ahead and start with the AL, and probably the team that has everything kind of locked up the most, and that being the New York Yankees. Starting in the AL East, they are 10 games ahead from the Blue Jays, who are a pretty solid second place, and then going down the Rays, Orioles, and the Red Sox. I mean, no, it's one of those things where they're just so far ahead at this point, and they don't look like they're slowing down whatsoever. They did have a little bit of a bumpy, transition after the All-Star break, but they still seem to be doing pretty good. They are on a 2-game losing streak as of this recording. They're 2-8 in their last 10 as of this recording, but no, it's hard to bet against the Yankees still. I mean, I won't take them personally in any parlays or anything like that, but I mean, at least to win the division, the AL East, that's kind of my pick there, unfortunately. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't see them losing the division, but I don't think they're the clear-cut favorite like they were for a good first half of the season. I mean, they coming out at a historically hot pace the first 40, 50 games. I think they're below 500 since the All-Star break, which not great. They've had a couple bad series that they've lost. I think lost a couple para series to the Mariners. Lost a series. I think got swept by the Cardinals, maybe,
Yeah.
or it was 3 out of 4 the Cardinals won. So I don't. I think the AL as a whole is going to be a lot more open than it maybe looked like at the start of the year, where you had Houston and New York being really hot, and both of them have kind of started slowing down a bit. And I don't think the Yankees are going to lose that division.
No.
Because you've got Toronto, who's been slipping lately. Tampa hasn't looked all that good, but watch out for the red hot Orioles.
Yeah.
Who I could see the Orioles taking second place in this division. They're only 2 games back from Toronto, tied with Tampa Bay right now. 12 back from the Yankees. They won't catch the Yankees, but man, the Orioles have been doing some damage.
No, definitely. And the Orioles are one of those teams that could make a late push for that wild card position, especially, as you said, only being 2 games back there from the from the Blue Jays. Bro, they've been hot. And ever since, you kind of pointed it out to me that they're one of the hotter teams in baseball, I've been making money off of them. So shout out to the Orioles for figuring something out late here in the season. I mean, especially after a bummer of a start there. They're 58 and 52 right now. I mean, I could see them also getting that second place spot. The Blue Jays, I will say the Blue Jays do kind of have an advantage, though, especially for their home games because of the way the vaccination rules are set up. So, this is kind of where we're learning which MLB players are vaxxed and not. But if it comes down to it, and you got your big hitters or a key part of your rotation out, I mean, that could be detrimental to those teams, especially if they have to go play over there. That's something that I think we'll have to keep an eye on, especially when we go into playoffs, if the Blue Jays can secure that wild card spot. But Red Sox are dead, right?
Yeah, I mean, 4 games under 500. I guess they could make a late push to get one of the wild card spots, but outside of that, I don't know. They haven't looked great lately either.
Well, Chris Sale just fell off a bike too and broke his wrist or something, right? And he's done.
Yeah, out for the season. That's like the second or third professional athlete we've heard about in the last few months hurting themselves by falling off a bike. Like it's happened. This is at least the second time, if not the third, in like this summer, which is just odd.
Third time a high profile name has fallen off of a bike. Second time an
There you
athlete
go.
has. There we go. But yeah, Red Sox are dead. Noah, let's move on to the other team that kind of has their division locked up in the AL. Not a lot of movement, especially with some of the teams in their division right now. I'm talking about the AL West and the Houston Astros being 10.5 games up on the Mariners right now in the AL West. They're 71-41 this year so far. They're 5-5 in their last 10. I hate to say it, but bro, I mean, they're still looking good. Like they're still ripping the ball. They still have a great bullpen that can support the runs being produced. I would love to see the Mariners make a push here, especially with that really talented young roster they have. But I think it's a little too much too soon for the Mariners, and I think next season is going to be a big step forward for the Mariners, and it'll be a closer competition in the West. But I really think the Astros are just going to tie it up.
Yeah, Mariners, being 10.5 back, I think the Astros are a good enough team that the Mariners won't catch them. I do think Seattle's going to close that gap to closer to 4 or 5 by the time the season's done. They will be a playoff team. They're one of the hottest teams in baseball right now, so they're excited to watch. I don't see them catching Houston.
Now, who do you think makes the wild card all said and done, the Orioles or the Mariners?
Well,
if you can only have one.
Because their playoffs are expanded, though. There's an extra wild card spot available now this year. So I believe we have, 3 wild card spots now?
3 or 4,
for grabs? I don't remember. I should know that.
I should know it, too. I'll look it up real quick.
I believe it's 3.
Yeah, but we should know this. We're a better show than this.
Yeah, so I do think
3 wild cards for each team. So yeah, all 3. So the Blue Jays, the Mariners, and the Orioles could all make it in theoretically.
Yeah, I mean you got to watch out for the Rays, but I haven't liked the way they're playing. I think Seattle's probably the biggest lock, I would say. Granted, you've got 6 teams within 2.5 games of those wild card spots, so a lot could happen before the end of the season. But I'm going to go ahead and say the Mariners. I'm going to say Baltimore makes it. Just I like the way they've been playing. And then, it's a toss-up for me between Toronto and Tampa Bay.
Fair, bro. Now, let's talk about a division that hits close to home for you, and I'm really interested to hear what you got about this. The AL Central. Guardians 1 game up on your Twinnies right now. Twins picking up a lot of big wins against the Yankees. You got to feel good about that, making some moves at the trade deadline that really, I think, helped your team and didn't really hinder your team at all. We did talk about the trade deadline stuff. You can find that, hopefully, floating above my head right now. But how are you feeling about your Twins, bro? I mean, the White Sox are close to at 2.5, and then you got the Royals and Detroit all the way down at the bottom, 13 and 16 games back respectively. But I mean, it's a heavy top 3 right now for the Central. I mean, do you think your Twinnies can pull it out, or you think they're just gonna choke it away like the rest of the Minnesota teams, eh?
Yeah, Twins have been very frustrating to watch all season. They finally gave up the division lead, which they've either been tied for or had the division lead since I think the middle of April. Never more than a 5.5 game lead. Kept bouncing back and forth between 1 game and 5.5. Cleveland finally taking the lead there. They've had a couple of easy series, whereas Twins have had some tough matchups coming out of the All-Star break. I do think the Twins are going to narrowly end up winning this division in the regular season. I just think they're a little bit better than Cleveland and Chicago.
I agree with you. I don't think Chicago has the stuff anymore. Tony La Russa is still the manager there somehow, some way. They need to get his ass out of town before, the whole organization blows up in flames. Let's be real. It would be interesting for the Guardians to make it their first year with this new name change and everything. Obviously, they didn't play the worst last year and the year before that. They've been building to this moment, I think. I don't know if they have enough juice in the tank, though, to really make it, into the playoffs and then be able to maintain success. I understand the Twins have been frustrating as hell? No, I'm a Diamondbacks fan, so I understand what it's like having a frustrating baseball team in season. But through all the frustration and stuff, you guys have been successful. And I think that's the big key here. You have been successful. You're 4 games over 500 right now. You guys are chillin'. I'm taking the Twins to get out of the Central and winning that division. I really think they're going to do it.
That division's, I mean, it's a great one if you're looking to get decent odds on a line. You know,
100%.
Any of the 3 teams there, Twins, the Guardians, and the White Sox, all of them should get plus money on every single one of those to win the division. So, you know, I could really see it going to any of the 3. I think it's going to remain a tight race for the rest of the season. Whoever comes out on top is, you know, the head-to-head games between all 3 of those teams are going to be the big difference maker at the end of it.
Oh, 100%. No, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. But, I mean, that wraps up the AL. Do you have any other comments on the AL before we move on to the National League?
No, not at the moment. I do think I think the American League's a lot more open. A lot more could happen, whereas the National League seems, you know, I don't want to say fully set with 50 games left, but it's looking pretty set to me.
It is, Noah. And I'm sorry, before we get to the NL, I do have one question for you. I was looking around the sports book earlier today. Aaron Judge, home run total, over 61.5 at plus 105, at plus 100, under at minus 130. He's at about 40 right now the last time I checked today. I don't know if within the last 30 minutes he's hit another one. He just seems to hit them whenever the hell he wants to. So, what do you think, though? With 50 games left, about 50 games left, is he going to be able to do 622 more before the end of the year?
Let's see. He's at 45.
He's at 45? AJ. Oh, shit. Slam that over.
Yeah, I think that over is a no-brainer. I still think he's going to end up around 65, 66 by the time the season's over.
I can see that. Yeah, I totally agree. He's going to be continuing to bomb dingers, especially as we get into September and he faces some teams with some rookie pitchers they want to see from the minors. But Noah, let's go ahead and move on to the NL, and I want to talk about a team that you have not been able to stop talking about, and it's one of the teams I hate most, closest to my heart. Let's talk about the NL East and the goddamn New York Mets, Noah. 73-39. They've been on an unbelievable run as of late. They got DeGrom back. He's been an absolute stud. Their reliever, who I cannot remember, has a sick walkout song.
Edwin Diaz.
Edwin Diaz. Thank you, Noah. I mean, shit, dude. They're 7 games up on the Braves right now. I'll just turn it to you, bro. How do you feel about the Mets?
Yeah, they're winning the World Series.
Oh, come on. Get out of here.
They're winning the World Series. I think they've got like the 4th shortest odds right now.
Plus 475.
Yeah, better jump on it before they're favored. I just think, you know, at the end of the day, when you get into the playoffs and you have these playoff series, you need a good 1-2 or a 1-2-3 punch. The Mets have that. They've got one of the best closers in the game. They've got a good bullpen. They've got a good batting lineup. I just think they have all the pieces. And if you're playing against the Mets in any given series and you have to start by facing Scherzer and then DeGrom, and then that series goes 7 games and you're potentially seeing one or both of them a second time, like, yeah, good luck. I mean, if you got to go, 7 innings before you can put your first run on the board, I don't like most teams' odds in those situations. No. This might be one of the best 1-2 punches we've ever seen from a team. So if they don't win the World Series
this is not near timeout. All right, timeout. This is not nearly as good as a 1-2 as Schilling and Johnson was.
I haven't been following baseball for long enough to talk on that, but but at least in the last decade, I mean, I don't think I've seen a better 1-2 punch on a team than a healthy Scherzer and DeGrom, both at the top of their game. That's scary if you have to play them, and Mets had Mets moving with a 3-game sweep of the Braves this past weekend, moving from a 3.5-game lead to a 6.5, now at a 7-game lead. And the Mets are hot. It seems like all they do is win lately, especially after the All-Star break. They finally got that separation over Atlanta. I expect them to even run away with this division,
Yeah.
like even more so than they are, especially when you get all those games against the Marlins and the Nationals. I think the Mets finished the season with the best record in baseball. I think they overtake the Dodgers just because of, you look at the two divisions and the Dodgers have a much tougher schedule than the Mets do.
No, I completely agree with you. And let's go ahead and even jump in to the NL West as you are talking about the Dodgers. They're 77-33, 16 games ahead of the red hot Padres right now. But I mean, the NL West from the beginning of the season was the Dodgers division to lose. And so it's not shocking seeing them this high on the list. But you really think that the Mets are going to overtake the Dodgers?
Yeah, I do.
Damn. I mean, I hope so. I hate both teams, but shit, I hate
They're
Dodgers
only
more.
they're only what 5 games back from the Dodgers. Yeah, you just you look at the Mets and they've been playing against Atlanta really well. Philly's decent, but you got the Marlins and the Nationals, two of the worst teams in baseball right now. In that division, they get to play both of them multiple times, I think. And then if you're the Dodgers and you got to face, Arizona and Colorado aren't great, but they're better than Miami and Washington. And then, San Francisco, even though they've been struggling a little bit this year, I think is potentially better than Philly. And then the Padres are definitely a tough one, especially once they get Tatis back. So I don't think it's just because of schedule. I think the Mets will potentially finish with the best record in baseball.
I can see that, Noah, and we are going to get a taste of what the NLCS could look like at August 30th. The Dodgers go to the Mets for a 3-game series, and so that's going to be an epic way to end August and go into September. I hate the Dodgers with a burning passion, Noah. You know this. Most LA teams I can't stand unless they're the Chargers with Justin Herbert, but then again, I like Justin Herbert more than I like the Chargers. They got this wrapped up. I mean, the Padres are gonna win more games than they're gonna lose on the back end here. I believe they're sitting right there on the bubble of the wild card. They are sitting right there on the bubble for that third wild card spot with the Brewers 1 game back. I'm not worried that the Padres aren't going to make the wild card, but they just have no chance, I think, to really close that gap, especially since they do have to play them 2 more times this season. But I will say this. The Dodgers are not the same Dodgers of years past. They have lost a step. There's a piece of their game missing that will deeply affect them in the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they make it past the first round.
I can't sit here and agree with that.
Okay.
I do think their one weakness, if I had to pick one, because they do have all-stars at about, almost every position. It's kind of ridiculous. I think their pitching might get exposed come playoff time.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah, I don't think, if they get into, a higher scoring battles with teams, I don't like their chances to win a lot of those. And I don't know that their pitching's been pretty outstanding most of the season so far, but I think some of those guys in their rotation could get a little bit exposed against, routinely playing better teams.
No, I agree. It'll be, and obviously that's me mostly coming on that take as a Dodgers hater, but I still think I don't see it with them. I don't see it with them, and yeah, I think their rotation's going to get murdered. But Noah, let's move to another division that is close to the last division. The Centrals just seem to be very close this season, as the Cardinals are ahead with 1 game, and then ahead of the Brewers, and then you see the drop off with the Cubs, Pirates, and Cincinnati, 16, 16 and a half, and 17 games back, respectively. It's really going to be a race between the Cardinals and the Brewers to see who can close it out. Noah, where are you sitting on this one?
This one's, I go back and forth. It seems like it's maybe tough sometimes, but just based on recency, I think the Cardinals are playing a lot better, a lot more sound baseball than the Brewers. Yes. Yet the Brewers have been staying afloat, staying right there with the Cardinals somehow. it's tough to go against Milwaukee winning this division because just recency. The last decade, it's almost every year been Milwaukee's division to lose. I'm going with the Cardinals to win this division, though. I really like the way they've been playing lately. The pitching's been a lot better than it was at the start of the season. And yeah, I mean, they got the bats going like crazy, especially Arenado and Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt having a career year this
Oh
year.
yeah, Goldschmidt
Uh,
looking damn good.
yeah, and we're seeing a little bit of a late, you know, old age revival out of Albert Pujols, who's
Yeah,
actually been contributing lately at the ripe age of 42 years old.
nice shout out.
So, you know, I think they'll win the division on, Pujols' victory lap tour this
Hey, no,
season.
absolutely, and that would be a nice way to end it as a Cardinal. I don't think it's going to happen though. I really don't think it's going to happen. I think the Brewers are going to figure out something here in the last stretch of 50 or 40 games, however many more we have, and be able to put it together. They're still close. They got another couple series against them, and I think that's going to end up being the go-ahead. I think they're going to take the next two series they have against the Cardinals, and that's going to be all she wrote.
All right, we'll see. And I mean, last note on that division, we've got the Field of Dreams game tonight
Yes.
between the Cubs and the Reds. Not like it matters for a whole lot,
But
but
it's fun.
if you want to see some dingers getting hit into the cornfields, yeah, tune in, I guess.
It's always a good time. And no, I will say, I am happy that the MLB is doing one thing right. All of the fans loved the Field of Dreams last year, and they're going to love it again this year. It's a cool thing that only the MLB can do. I mean, shout out. It's awesome. I'm a big fan of it. But
Yeah, really good if you like home runs too, because field is, I think
tiny.
I think it's a little bit shorter than most. It kind of reminds me of Dodger Stadium, where it feels like the ballpark's like super small because apparently the Dodgers don't like hitting the ball too far.
No,
Got to
they
have
don't.
those short home runs. So yeah, I mean, should be good. Should be some home runs tonight into the cornfields, like I said, and
Yeah,
yeah, should be a good time regardless.
it should be a good time. Noah, do you have anything else to say regarding the any futures or anything for the MLB while we go into the last third of the season?
Yeah, again, like I'll just reiterate, I think the American League is pretty open. I would have said a couple weeks ago, like, oh, completely, it's either going to be the Astros or the Yankees, but both of them haven't looked great and they've shown some weakness the past couple weeks. However, opposite now on the NL side, I think it's either the Mets or the Dodgers. I
Yeah.
don't see anyone else. Potentially, if St. Louis keeps it clicking, and potentially the Padres, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They haven't been great since the Juan Soto trade, but that's also because if you look at the teams they've been playing, I think they've had series against the Dodgers, the Giants.
Yeah.
Uh, it's very tough wins to get there, and once they get Tatis back, they could be a completely different monster. But
Could be a
as of
monster.
now, I'm on the Mets or the Dodgers to make it out of that.
I like the Mets more, and I hate to say it because it's really a shame the Mets and the Dodgers both can't lose against each other. But hey, that's baseball for you. With that being said, that's been us. If you like the content, and I know you do, please like, share, and subscribe down below. Help us grow the channel and fight that YouTube algorithm. Follow us on the Twitter at DGenTakes for the show, at Perfect1 for myself, Engel at N_Engelbretson for Noah, and Engel Money Train for all of your daily best bets, locks, and picks. Noah's been on a heater recently, and he's going to keep it moving into football, so you definitely want to get on that. And hey, we got merch now. That's right, we're a real show. Go ahead and check out that link in the description down below. Get yourself some good stuff. And yeah, with that being said, I've been the Brofict one. That's been the Money Train, and we'll see you next time on Degenerate Takes.